TellyCast, the TV industry news review.
On this week's show, I'm at Series Mania Forum in Lille as the scripted TV business comes together once again to pitch, meet and debate the future of TV drama. My guests are Banijay's head of scripted Lars Blomgren, Series Mania Forum director Franchesco Capurro, Andrew Gutzeit of Germany's Storyhouse Productions and Spanish producer Aurora Guerra from Alea Media. It's all coming up on this week's TellyCast. Okay, for our Series Mania special show, I thought where better to start than meeting with Franchesco Capurro, Series Mania Forum director. Francesco, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. Thank you very much. Really glad.
I've grabbed you for 15 minutes and this is, an incredibly busy, your busiest day of the year, probably. Can you, first of all, tell us a little bit about Series Mania? Because this is my first time at the event. It's incredibly impressive. It's been a fixture on the festival circuit and the scripted industry circuit now for a few years. Can you give us a brief history of the event and tell us why it's become so popular?
Yes, of course. Series Mania started as a festival, so to screen to the audience TV shows, and it started more than 10 years ago, because Laurent Sersberg and Frédéric Lavigne, the artistic director, found that at that time television quality was really rising, and it was only the beginning of a decade of excellent television shows. And then in 2013, I joined the team to start the industry part of the event, and we started very small with a co-production event, trying to put together projects in development, looking for financiers and commissioners from the main European broadcasters or distributors. And there was a huge buzz around the Series Mania. People were very happy. Project that we selected has been picked up and produced, and every year the event has doubled in size. And at some point the French government in 2017 decided to move the event from Paris to Lille and to give us a higher budget. And so thanks to the support of the northern region of France and the CNC and the European Creative Europe Media, we developed the event into this big market that is today.
Yeah, well, here we are at the centre of Europe in France, near the Belgian border, and you really get to see a lot of the key European broadcasters here. But also, I've noticed there's quite a few American senior execs from studios. You mentioned the co-production. Those pitching sessions have become like the centrepiece to the event. Can you tell us, how that developed and what happens in those pitching sessions?
Everything started from the co-pro pitching sessions. We receive every year, we make an open call and we receive hundreds of projects from all over the Europe. This year, 330 projects. We have selection process, and then we pick up 15 projects. We try, of course, we have different criteria in terms of genre, stage of development, diversity of teams, etc. And we try to have a wide selection so every kind of buyers and commissioners can find one or two projects that fits his own goals and what he's looking for. And it's really successful because almost 30% of the project that we presented has been produced at some point, so it's really good knowing that there are so many projects out there. And in a very competitive market, I think that being selected in Series Mania helps really the project to stand out. And moreover, we have a professional jury giving a 50k euros award for development to the best project. And so it's really interesting for the producer to apply. And so, yes, we will see who wins today.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eyes on the press, and I'm sure that will be announced in due course. I also noticed there's some writing residency programs as well. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, this is going in the same strategy. As everyone is looking to jump in on the project at the very early stage, we thought that it was important to train the writers and to make them, ready to pitch their project to the buyers, commissioners, and the industry in general. So we created 3 writing residencies: the Writers Campus, the Franco-Israeli Residency, and Dental Workshop. 2 of them in partnership with the CNC. And we bring those writers from all over the world. We train them with experienced tutors, and then they come here at the forum to pitch their ideas. And it's amazing how many meetings they get with the industry.
This event, more than many others, it's really for producers, isn't it? I mean, obviously there are distributors here and there are networks here, but it seems to me to be the scripted industry event for producers to come together and pitch those programs and pitch those series and come together and collaborate with other like-minded producers and obviously sell their projects.
Yeah, yes, it's true. As I said, we started from the content, to help producers to finance their show, to help writers to get in contact with the industry. So yes, we have built an event around the writers and the producers to give them the opportunity to meet the industry. But the industry is eager to meet them because they want to, as we said, it's very competitive. So they want to meet the talents as soon as possible, to sign them as soon as possible, to work on the very high-end project as soon as possible before their competitors.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what we're seeing is obviously huge demand for talent, whether it's writing talent or acting talent, which is one of the key themes, I think, around the drama industry today. Now, this event is back to its usual place in the calendar. Last year, obviously, any event producer in the TV industry has had it really tough, right, for the last couple of years. What I see is that this event seems to come back stronger than ever. Can you give us an idea of the number of delegates that we've got here? And because everybody likes to talk about numbers, don't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah, but we have 3,000 delegates here in Lille, and it's a record number since the origin of the Series Mania Forum. So we are more than glad. It's more than we expected. Of course, as you said, we are coming through 2 difficult years. Last year we need to postpone the event end of August and beginning of September. We had 2,100 participants here, and now so we have almost 1,000 more just only 6 months later. So it's even better than our expectation. It's been this industry wants to meet and mingle again and maybe forget a little bit the COVID virus.
Yeah, well, that's it. We all want to do that. And you know what's great to see is there's barely a mask in sight now. You know, everybody's getting back together and it seems almost like COVID never happened. So it's good to put that all behind us. Now, looking at any industry event where there's a coming together of such talent from production, but also commissioning, distribution. It's always, a great opportunity to look to the future as well and look at the key themes, particularly as, the industry's been so disrupted over the last couple of years. You've got a program called Lille Dialogues. Tell us about what that is and what this year's theme is.
The Lille Dialogues is sort of an event within the event. It's part of the forum and it's a summit. It's one-day summit where we gather CEOs and politicians and decision makers to talk about strategy. The forum is more content-oriented. We talk about projects and co-production and so on and so on. And the Lille Dialogues is more focused on the regulatory issues. For example, the quota of production that big streamers need to have in Europe, etc., etc. And this year, the main theme is around the creativity, but the opening speech will be given by Margrethe Vestager, the Vice President of the European Commission, who was in charge of the competition in Europe, and she's one of the most important defender of the European sovereignty also. So
you raise a point there that it's also great to see local and national government supporting events like this, and really getting behind it. And I'm not sure there's many other events, perhaps with the exception of Canada, where you see that sort of governmental support. So that's obviously a big thing for you.
It's a French tradition, the French CNC support the Cannes Film Festival for feature film, the Annecy Film Festival for animation and kids. and they are very proud of it, and they want that Series Mania will begin, the Cannes Film Festival for TV series. So we hope, we are really humble, but we hope one day to achieve this goal.
Well, you certainly looks like you're on your way there. What about your personal highlight then for the next few days? We're speaking on Tuesday. The event runs until Thursday. What's your personal highlight? What were you particularly looking forward to seeing?
Oh, it's hard to choose because we made the program, but it's beside all the pitching session that I really encourage all the delegates to attend because it's where you can find the new ideas. I think that there is a couple of sessions really interesting. For example, HBO presenting the European strategy. There will be Paramount making some announcements on Thursday. There will be also some, a keynote very interesting about the metaverse and what's the metaverse. Everyone is talking about that, but nobody knows exactly what it is. And the head of Facebook France comes to give a keynote about that and which possibility can open for our businesses. So I think that there are a lot of interesting panels going on. For the people who can't attend, everything is available online on our digital platform. So if you missed something, you can catch up later.
All right, okay, and we'll post a link on that in the episode description so people can go and take a look. Franchesco, thank you so much for your time. I'm really glad that I've been able to drag you away for a couple of minutes.
You are very lucky.
In your busiest day of the year. Thank you for coming on TellyCast.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
So one of the great things about coming to an event like this is you bump into really nice people and hear about really interesting projects. Now, I'm joined by two Spanish women, one of which is very well known to TellyCast listeners, is Maria from Omdia, and I'm also joined by Aurora Guerra from Alea Media from Madrid, and you're a producer, aren't you, Aurora? Tell us about what you're doing at Series Mania.
I am showing our new series, is Peace Force. It's a military thriller with a lot of proactive female characters on the army and on Africa. That is where the action developed.
Okay. And this was commissioned in Spain, is that right? It's a show that's already been made?
Yes.
And who's the broadcaster in Spain?
It's Radio Televisión Española.
Okay.
TD.
And you're here to sell the show internationally, presumably?
Yes, we are trying to show to the world how the Spanish creators can do a very good and powerful products inside our own country.
Okay. Well, we've seen, a huge interest in Spanish-speaking content, thanks to Netflix and lots of other international streaming services. And we've also seen these local stories going internationally. And now, Spanish language, or in fact any local language drama, doesn't have the barrier that it once had. Tell me the title of the show again.
Peace Force.
Peace Force. So tell me why Peace Force might appeal to international audiences and why international buyers might be interested in it.
We thought that the army was an attractive location and reality yet to be discovered for the main public. And it is the first time a series has peace forces as the main topic. And we talk about pirates, human trafficking, and the whole style of the environment in Africa, from the soldiers.
Okay.
And
women are the key protagonists in this show. Okay.
Yes.
By the way, you've got a very relevant surname. Guerra is war, right? So to be making this sort of show, how easy is it for a woman to produce a show about women in action in the army and sell that internationally? I mean, is that straightforward? Because that's quite unusual.
Yes, it's quite unusual because they are prejudiced about that women cannot shoot in action scenes or thriller with a lot of action, but in Peace Force, women are the force of the series.
Okay, so basically it's women involved in army manoeuvres and women involved in war and peacekeeping, presumably.
Yes, but not only military women, African women too, and young and elderly women get together to fight for their lives and defend their dignity. You know, it's a kind of sorority that it became a real weapon for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, there's lots of themes there that are very relevant today and also very, very topical. Your objective is to sell this internationally. Have you had many pitch meetings so far, and how's that going?
We just announced on this meeting that series.
Okay.
It's the first time we show.
All right. Well,
Yes.
you hear it here first on TellyCast. Well,
Yes.
I wish you all the very best
Yes, you are.
with the project. Maria, great to see you again. What are you doing at Series Mania?
Hello, nice to be here today. So I'm doing two things. Today I was presenting some of the top Spanish content we have at the moment. So I was presenting 4 top series that are coming to you this year, one of which was this one from Televisión Española. It's really fascinating how popular Spanish content is. According to Netflix last week, they said the most popular titles outside the US come from 1, South Korea, 2, the United Kingdom, and 3 from Spain. So it's kind of spectacular, the growth, the prestige that Spanish content has today. So I was very proud with the panel. Thank you, Aurora, because I think your series are really amazing.
You're welcome.
The army characters from Africa, from Spain, the role of women. This series touches so many hot topics that is really, really fascinating, and I'm looking forward for the rest of the world to be able to watch this content.
Me too.
Yeah, well, I imagine the first port of call may be in the US, because, I mean, it's something that we've covered before on TellyCast. There's a huge Spanish-speaking audience in the US. I mean, I think there's about 90 million, something approaching that in the US.
Yes.
Presumably, that's going to be one of the first places you may approach to...
I think so, and the plot is so universal, you know, because it's something that anyone can understand. What happened inside the army and what happened when the army came into another country with another culture, with another religions, you know, and this kind of conflicts, I think they are very global.
Yeah, well, we see very, very similar conflict happening right now, which is, brings that very much to the fore. Aurora, Maria, thank you for coming on the show. It's lovely to bump into you, and good luck. We'll put a link in the episode description to your show, so anybody can go and take a look at that. I'll be watching the press, I'm sure, for your international sales, because it sounds a very sellable project.
Okay, thank you.
My next guest on this week's show is Lars Blomgren, Head of Scripted at Banijay. Lars, how are you?
I'm fine. It's nice to be in Lille.
It's nice to be in Lille. The sun's out. It's been a busy day of back to those half-hour back-to-back meetings. How's that been for you? Have you enjoyed being back into the swing of a industry event?
Absolutely, and you can tell from all the people here that everyone's really excited. Even the broadcasters are excited to see us.
Right, okay. Well, that's saying something. So from a scripted producer, leading scripted producer like Banijay, producer of Peaky Blinders, and many other scripted hits, what does coming to this event deliver for you? What's the main opportunity for you, and what do you achieve from it?
But there's two things. First of all, we're such a big group. We're like 55 production companies producing scripted right now, and during the pandemic we've only met on Zoom and phone calls, so it's nice to meet people in person. That of course goes for all the external people that you finally meet in person. It's a big difference, and so it's nice to see everyone. And also, I think we've all been kind of isolated. We're a big group, so most of my conversations are with people inside the group, and now just to get a chance to reflect and talk with colleagues and competitors, whatever. So it's a big and great event.
With so many buyers and so many different types of funding now coming into the scripted space, how are you seeing demand for scripted changing? Because there's so many more buyers, so many more opportunities for funding. How are you seeing things change?
It's changed for the better because the competition between the different clients, or the streamers and public service broadcasters and linear TV, it's well, for us as a production company, it's to our advantage. It's not just one streamer now; it's 4 streamers or 5 streamers.
It's more demand, right?
It's more demand, and so that's the big upside.
And for production business of your scale, obviously you mentioned about 50, however many individual companies around the world. What we have seen over the last few years, which is a real phenomenon and as a direct result of the streamers that we've seen come to the marketplace, is the success of local language content travelling, which just a few years ago would have been unheard of. Right? You were involved as a producer on The Bridge, so perhaps that was one of the first that really travelled for foreign language or local language dramas. What travels well now and what doesn't?
I mean, all our clients, they talk about that they want truly local shows, but hopefully with a global appeal. And I would say that it's the stories that thematically are relevant for a bigger audience than the local one. And of course, I mean, Squid Game is the best example. It's the 60% of the world's population is in the same situation that the guys in that game. So of course you can relate to it. But it's clear that the cross-border productions are out of fashion. We've done, like The Bridge, we did a lot of them out of necessity of financial reasons. And having 2 broadcasters is better than 1 because that you get a higher budget. But it's clear that they don't want a French woman going to Italy. They want a French story about French people, or a Greek story about Greek people. So that's a clear sign of times.
Yeah. It's about those universal themes but told locally.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how stories like set in a totally different universe still can be relevant on another part of the planet. But that clearly happens.
We're here, the first main event. I mean, obviously there was a Series Mania last summer, which was slightly out of sync, but we're now here back in its regular time slot, and it's bigger than ever. We've heard that the delegate numbers are now over 3,000, so that's almost a third bigger than the last one, and many people I've spoken to have said it's the busiest they've ever seen the event. We're obviously now at a stage when, production's back in full flow right around the world, or in many places in the world. Now we're coming out the back end of the pandemic. What are you seeing as the main effects now of the pandemic on production? We've heard lots of things about studio shortages and talent shortages, both in front of and behind the camera. I mean, how are you experiencing that over all of your companies, so the overview that you have?
No, I mean, like you say, it's the fight for the best talent and for the best producers and line producers and production manager and key crew. That's extremely challenging, and we've had situations where we had to postpone fully financed greenlit shows because we can't get the right teams in place, or more or less, no like disasters, but it's very close. That's a big one.
Do you find that broadcasters or the commissioners of those shows are, because of this upward pressure on those costs, think they're relatively understanding of that?
I think there's a big change there, and it's, I mean, to just broaden it, because I think during the pandemic and before the pandemic, time to market has been extremely important for the streamers, and a lot of times they've been asking us to say, more or less saying, yes, you'll get the project if you deliver 6 months earlier. And that kind of created an unsustainable situation with putting a lot of pressure on the creative teams and everyone involved in front and behind the camera. And now, as a consequence, we've actually seen the quality of the product drop.
Right.
And then on the other hand, we see that the subscription rates were kind of flattened out. And quality is that's the only reason to keep a subscription, that you actually finish the shows. So there's a new awareness of this, the fact that you have to create a sustainable business, you have to respect the creative process, and as we know, the process is different from one territory to the other, and US is actually the exception, the way they work. But now, so I think that's for the better. There's the better understanding now, and because we all have the same interest. We want to produce high quality shows.
Yeah. Not only we've had the pandemic and we're starting to recover from it, but now we're seeing inflation going through the roof. We've seen all sorts of pressures on domestic households' spending power, and they're going to be looking towards their subscription services, and there's going to be a downward pressure on those. I mean, is that something that you think about a great deal? Obviously, it's not directly your issue, but do you see that as being a challenge for a production company such as yours and the industry as a whole?
We talk a lot about it because, but again, to keep the subscribers, they need to deliver quality, and we're a high-end production company, and that's where we want to be in every single territory. So it plays to our advantage, actually.
Yeah, it's the tentpole shows that we've seen of driving subscriptions, but now it's about retaining them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And again, you will only finish watching the show and renew your subscription if the material is good enough. So
yeah, and you can see that second season coming in. You were right there at the beginning of the Scandinois wave as producer on the bridge, and you mentioned Squid Game. You've seen a wave of amazing local content coming from South Korea. As a global production company, where do you see as being the next global hotspot for scripted content? Are there any? Can you give us any clues on where you think the stories are starting to?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. Of course, we talk a lot about India. India is an amazing market, and we have a great presence there with two good production companies. But that's a market where like 95% of all the streaming that's local content. That's a market that's growing rapidly, and that we really like. It's a nice from all. I mean, we just did a remake of Call My Agent, which is like an amazing success with like the biggest Bollywood stars, and it's like that works really well.
Right.
But then there's the other kind, and that right now we focus a lot of. There's an interesting on the feature side. There's an interesting connection between Spain, Mexico, and Hollywood. There's so many great, talented feature film directors and actors and talent in general, and we would love to see the same happening on the TV side. So that's of course that's a big focus for us. Right. We have a production company in Mexico called Boomdog, and we have a special part of the American business that focus on Hispanic production. And of course we want to build the relation between Spain, Portugal, and Latin America, and Mexico, and the US.
We've seen these macro effects affecting the global TV business. One of the things that really came through during the pandemic was, a renewed focus on diversity within production. How have you adapted to that? We've seen real consumer demand to reflect global happenings, over the last couple of years, and the change of what sort of scripted content audiences want. How have you adapted to that as a global producer?
No, but for us it's actually a blessing in a way, because if you tell a story through the lens of diversity, it becomes more interesting in a way. And I think that's we move a lot of formats around, and anyone from the underrepresented communities, they've gone through so much more hardship and challenges that like Scandinavian like me, so I think it just works for the better.
So there's many untold powerful stories there too.
All over the world, and that's of course, you have to help me with the title now, the Jack Thorne story. It's about because we've changed the title. Then Barbara met us, so we're doing this BBC show about the fight for the disability and the rights of disabled people. Jack Thorne, and that's a really good example of a show that's part of this new perspective, and we would love to do more.
Yeah, that's probably not the sort of show that would have been commissioned maybe 3-4 years ago, right?
But now it's front and center, and it's for the better for everyone.
Yeah. You were talking about scarcity of talent and all of the effects that coming out of the pandemic has got when it comes to production of script. Obviously, big name writers are in massive demand now. How do you balance those creating projects with those writers, but also discovering new talent, because new talent is obviously key to pipeline of any business. How do you balance that across the portfolio of scripted that you're producing?
Every production company is like a fully functioning production company with their own scouts and producers and development producers. So they do this themselves, and some of them are like Yellowbird in the Nordics are really focused on doing book adaptations on big IP like the Millennium Trilogy, the Go with the Dragon Tattoo, while other companies are just 100% focused on doing originals. They handle their own developments, but we do focus a lot on new talent and incubators, and as we know, even if there's a big demand for the big writers, but some of the really big shows from the last 10 years that come from new talent that are now on big deals with Amazons and Netflixes and so forth, but we really have to keep a close eye on the new talent.
Yeah, so it's just down to scouting and ensuring that you're
and being there.
Yeah. Lars, thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed chatting with you. Great to be here in, as you say, the sun of Lille. All the best for the rest of Series Mania.
You too. Thanks a lot.
So my final guest here at Series Mania in Lille is Andrew Gutzeit, Chief Creative Officer and General Manager at Storyhouse Productions. How are you doing? Great to see you.
Great. Thank you very much for having me, Justin.
We met each other last night at the opening drinks event, and it's always good to get back together and have a quick chat and see how things are going. So first of all, tell us about Storyhouse, because you've got a German name, but you've got an American accent, and Storyhouse is a German company. Tell us about the business and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been around for 22 years. I spent about 25 years in the US, and much of that time, obviously, with Storyhouse. In the last 5 years, I came back to Europe to start our scripted business, and that's what I'm heading up right now. We are part of the Bavaria Group, which is one of the 3 largest production houses in Germany, and I run the scripted side, and that's what I'm doing here in Series Mania.
Obviously, very sizable business, and I think you've been working on some big, high-budget dramas. First of all, tell us what you've produced recently and maybe what you're currently in production with and what you're pitching here at Series Mania.
Yeah. So we've completed rather successfully the first season of Sissi, which is a modern take on the old 70-year-old films by Marischka with Romy Schneider. It's a princess story. Everybody, at least in continental Europe, knows it. It's cultural tapestry. It's Christmas programming. Boys and girls have been forced to watch it, liked it or didn't, and we took it upon ourselves to update that story and make it viable for the 21st century. This was produced for RTL Plus and the RTL Group, distributed by Beta very successfully, and we had a really successful outing at Christmas all over Europe, all the way to Brazil. So Beta did a wonderful job of selling it very successfully. And we are shooting the second season in 2 weeks. That's starting up again.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I was here in September last year as part of the co-pro pitching opportunities, and we presented a show called Mozart, which is basically the story of Mozart's unknown sister, who was a musician and composer in her own right. And we're telling a very wonderful, loud rock and roll story of the musical industry of the 1780s, and you can just imagine what that all made entail.
That sounds brilliant.
It's a lot of fun. It's nice because it's a project where the story is obviously very, very important, but the music's going to be just as important. So we spend half of the time creatively, we spend developing a musical concept that does honor to classical music and Mozart, but also will allow young people with who may just shy away from the classical aspect of it, make that accessible for them as well. That's a lot of fun.
Okay, so it's got young sensibilities.
Absolutely. It's about a young woman who's breaking through the glass ceiling, who has to stand her own, who has to fight for her music and has to fight for her love, and we're putting her through the ringer, as one should as a writer for a successful drama.
Yeah. And who are you producing that for? Is that with a broadcaster yet, or are you pitching it?
I can't really say because the deals haven't been closed,
Yeah.
but I must commend Series Mania. It was an absolute wonderful opportunity to pitch the show here and immediately find clients on site in September. And we are closing deals as we speak. This is a combination of linear broadcasters from Europe and some new up-and-coming streamers, which is a wonderful opportunity for us because it's probably the best of two worlds. It preserves, so the producers intended long tail for a show like this, but it will have immediate, distribution linearly, but it'll live on with a big streamer as well. So that's a very, very nice combination. First time we're doing this, but very exciting.
Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled for the news around that. When do you expect to be able to announce your broadcast partners?
Within the next couple of weeks, I hope.
Okay,
yes.
All right. That's a great advert in itself for Series Mania, isn't it? And are you pitching anything else? Because we've been trying to hook up today, and you've been in back-to-back meetings, which is a great sign. So, are you pitching anything else, or anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. We're pitching a rom-com show. It's a series based on a best-selling book franchise from Germany. We're producing this together with Wild Sheep and Eric Barmack in LA. So that is at the top of our list. We have a number of true crime series, which is obviously something that does sell very well. We have some exclusive access there and some really good writers on it as well. And we have a historical thriller that I think we will be able to announce pretty soon as well, that combines soccer and the dark history of Germany, which will be an exciting project as well.
Okay. And all of those productions, are they all German language?
No, we are distinctly a international-facing production house. I write in English, I dream in English. The German language I have to keep alive, even though I am German. So we are very well versed in international co-production. We've produced in Chile, we've produced in the Baltics, we've produced in the United States. So it depends on what the project requires. Some of those shows are in German, some of them are in different languages. The last show that we did was Dignity about 2 years ago for HBO Nordic, Amazon LATAM, and that was 70% Spanish language and the rest in German. So we're definitely looking for opportunities because the desire for upscale content is as high as ever, and especially many of the linear broadcasters find it hard to justify these budgets, and you have to find partners, and that's certainly something that a producer needs to be looking at.
Yeah. I asked Lars Blomgren earlier on in the show about the challenges that Banijay is facing as an international business around talent shortages and crew shortages and studio shortages that everyone seems to be universal right now. Are you facing those challenges as you go into the second season of CC? Is that something that, do you have those same challenges?
No, we are producing this in the Baltics, in Riga and in Vilnius. We've been working there with trusted partners for over 7 years. And that is a blessing right now because we know the top talent there. We can make long deals with them. We are fortunate enough that we've been greenlit for a second season before the first season even aired. So we could make plans and lock people into production for us, which is really nice. And we're hoping that we can extend that with Mozart as well, so that we can guarantee the highest level of production with people that we know and will have a proven track record. But that challenge is a very, very big challenge. Yeah. And we're fortunate enough that we found the right mix of how to address these problems.
Yeah, you seem to have anticipated that pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. Andrew, thank you. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I know you're in and out of meetings, but thank you for spending the time with me on TellyCast. Really great to meet you. And who knows, I might see you for a drink around Lille later on.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks very much, Justin.
Well, that's about it from Lille. I hope you enjoyed the show. We've just announced our first event, the TellyCast Content Funding Festival, a unique new industry event created to bring content producers and financiers together to explore the wide range of production funding options available today. It takes place at Lincoln's Inn in London on Tuesday, April 26th. Tickets are strictly limited and on sale now at telecast.com/events. We hope to see you there. TellyCast was edited by Ian Chambers and recorded in Lille. Until next week's show, as always, stay safe